什么是对许多人影响力最深的一件事情？它的名字可能叫做时尚。什么叫流行？你能不能跟得上流行？尤其对很多女性来说，她从出生到很老的时刻，似乎都被流行的符号这个紧箍咒紧紧地抓着。但谁来决定什么叫流行？今天为你介绍的就是过去时尚界里头可以说一是一，说黑是黑，说白是白，说对是对，说退流行就是退流行的 Vogue 杂志。HBO 过去拍纪录片向来拍得非常的好，这一次呢 HBO 又再度拍了一个让许多人拍手的纪录片，这个纪录片叫做《解密 Vogue》。Vogue 这本主导全球时尚的杂志已经120年了，这也是 HBO 要拍纪录片的原因。一个时尚杂志存在了120年，而且主导人类的时尚史，主导了这个西方对于时尚的概念，那么它当然值得大书特书，因为它如此的影响着我们身边每一个人。
关于时尚 ，Vogue 说了算。120年的老牌重量级时尚杂志，既资深也够经典。罗马一天造不成 ，Vogue 用每月一次的封面故事，一张张的视觉影像定义时代风格，提炼出一代又一代难以捉摸的女性魅惑，怎么办到的？
And the people responsible for the fashion images in Vogue are the fashion editors. They have always been our secret weapon.
正如穿着 Prada 的恶魔安娜温图总编辑的开示，没有这些对追求完美、超越极限、近乎偏执狂的时尚编辑们，是成就不出伟大杂志的。
It was my idea to do Alice in Wonderland. You know, all those fairy stories are quite dark, actually. They're all full of drugs and darkness and things like this. And
Grace sent me the books to read before I did the shoot. Months of preparation, of research, of conversation, and then I am the lucky one who ends up in the picture.
She's stepping through the mirror, and somehow everything was back to front. She's stepping through the mirror this way, and all the ruffles and detail was here, and the camera's here. So she said, can we put this dress on back to front? And he took it completely apart and put all the ruffles on the other side, and we shot it.
Fashion is such a fairy tale, and it is such a fantasy, and it is about metamorphosis and sort of changing yourself and playing a part that you want people to see.
Vogue 一开始比较像社交杂志，专注于上流社会的妇女，内文全都是插图。直到1909年被康泰纳仕买下，把重点放在女性时尚，同时引领风潮，借由影像风格彰显上流妇女以及时尚瞬间，才流转出深远的影响力。1963年，戴安娜·弗里兰接掌总编辑，《自由与骚乱，解放与狂欢》。60年代，那也是喷射机时代的开始。
Because in the old days, if you wanted to go to Egypt, you didn't go for a weekend. You went for several months. But with the jets, you could go any place. So the first trip we made was to India, and of course, India in September, which was immediately after the rains, was a sauna bath. We get to this hall of gods and heroes, and they didn't mind at all that we were climbing all over, as long as we did. The only thing was you couldn't wear shoes. Leather, of course.
It was called the Great Fur Caravan. I traveled with 15 trunks. We were there for 5 weeks. I mean, how fast are sittings done today? 3 days? It was the most expensive trip ever done at Vogue and never will happen again. I realized from the other editors there was some jealousy, and I spoke to Mrs. Vreeland about it, and Mrs. Vreeland said, "Polly, who needs friends? Get on with it." There's a certain loneliness to being a fashion editor. The most important thing being to bring back the pictures that will make the difference.
1971年，新的总编辑上任。Disco 的年代，杂志得在花哨的浪头上尽情冲击一番。
This is something that Vogue had never shown before. The woman was always the object of desire, you know. And suddenly you had a woman who was clearly thinking about sex and had powerful, lustful thoughts. And it was kind of incredible that was sort of captured in a picture. I mean, this all sounds so insane to be saying now, but I mean, in the context of what came before, it was really radical.
滑入80年代，娜塔莎金斯基爬满诱惑淫欲的曲线，成为一整代人脑海中鲜明的烙印。
And I said, "Do you have any special things that you like?" And she said, "I like snakes." I said, "You like snakes?" So we called an animal place and they brought that incredible snake. I held the snake, which is quite an experience. And Dick said, "Would you do it in the nude?" And she said, "Yes, sure." And she lay down and the snake wound around her body and up her body and got to her ear and kissed her. And he took the picture and I had tears rolling down my cheeks. I couldn't believe it. It was magical, completely magical. When the snake kissed her ear and the tongue went into her ear, the shoot was over. I mean, we couldn't speak.
Punch me, punch me, punch me, punch me. It's all about the butterfly.
要引领时尚蔚为流行，时尚编辑们得具备灵敏的感官、强大的发掘能力，有自信勾引出下一波的趋势脉动。
Amazing La Croix couture T-shirt with a embellished cross on it and a pair of Guess blue jeans.
You know, I remember when I've done the first issue for Anna, I worked in Paris. And I said, if I put a jean with this divine T-shirt, it will be perfect. It's a street. You can wear couture in the street suddenly. It was not like, you know, you have to have the hair done, the makeup done to wear couture. So I put a jean with this famous La Croix T-shirt.
When the cover actually went off to the printers, they called the office and said, "Is it a mistake?" They couldn't conceive that this actually could be a cover of Vogue magazine.
That year, at the collections, there were a vast amount of incredibly high heels that were sort of impossible to walk on. And so we wanted to sort of discuss, you know, how you became disabled by this. They're meant to indicate power and stature, and they leave you immobile. You know, she's so tall and so beautiful up there, so framed, and the light on the brace. Some people who were disabled found it offensive. I thought that it actually was sort of kind of quite handsome in a way.
他们得不断游走险峰，煎熬模特儿的忍耐限度，尽全力刷新读者的视觉经验。
And then he'd pour the cream on her head from a pitcher. We could do 2 or 3, and then we'd have to clean her off and start over, and also give her a rest. You know, couldn't just torture her all day.
She's so fastidious in her approach, and she's really the consummate perfectionist. I mean, if you're going to do a bee lighting on a lip to illustrate the concept of bee-stung lips, Phyllis is really going to spend months visiting every apiary in the States, casting just the right bee and just the right pair of lips.
时尚杂志的门面也得重新铺排。千禧年之后，封面人物由影视明星取代了模特儿。
Gaga has such a strong sense of herself.
She was a perfect candidate for a power issue.
I think it's fair to say there was a little bit of a buzz about Lady Gaga. So it was arranged that she would come in and meet some editors and meet Anna.
There was a lot of toing and froing about the appointment, and I thought, oh my goodness, she's going to be late. You know, it's one of those people, they're always late. But she arrived on the dot, and she was dressed like a nun in a full white cotton robe, and she just had a little hat on that said Vogue on it.
A few months later, she was on the cover for the first time.
时尚杂志的编辑部是世上最可怕的地方之一，这里充满光彩夺目、激情偏执的完美主义者，合力打造出这个星球上消费文明中女人的千般万种姿态。
Genius is the word I would use. They all have genius in them, and they all have a deep, deep understanding of what makes a great photograph.
Thank you very much. That was very, very nice.